Is the devil real? Do hillbillies live in Connecticut? All these questions and more answered. So Netflix's latest scary documentary, it's called The Devil on Trial. This took place in Connecticut. I grew up in Connecticut. I grew up very close to all this. I grew up hearing stories about this. It scared the shit out of me when I was a young kid. Also featured in this are Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are also portrayed in all of the Conjuring films. So the characters in those Conjuring films, those are based off of real people. And they also lived in Connecticut. They actually lived a few towns over from me. So I'm going to talk about that just a little bit. Then I'm going to move on and talk about the Netflix documentary and my thoughts on it. So when I was really young, maybe like 10 or 11, I remember a good friend of mine, he had this book. It was called The Devil in Connecticut. This was actually, I think The Conjuring 3 was called The Devil Made Me Do It. It was based off this book and this documentary as well. And my friend would tell me stories from the book. He would tell me excerpts from the book, and it just scared the life out of both of us. Like, I remember sleeping at night and thinking like, oh my God, the devil is real. He's actually, not only is he real, he's in Connecticut, by the way. Like, he read some lines in the book saying like, you know, the young boy, he would go in his bed at night and he would, you know, see the devil flying over the treetops and, you know, coming to his house. That image alone for a young kid who grew up, you know, going to church and stuff, parents are religious, that's enough to make you, you know, never sleep. So that book scared the shit out of us. And I remember my friend saying like after he read it, he fell like totally ill. He got totally sick. He probably just got a fucking flu, of course. That just added more to the terror. The long and short of it is this young boy who, you know, thought he was possessed by the devil.
When I was 11, he was possessed by the devil.
His family thought that, except for like one person. And then basically his older sister's boyfriend, the devil then leaped into him, and then he committed murder. And then basically they used the now famous The Devil Made Me Do It defense in court. This is what the Netflix film is about. So just to go back to the Warrens for a minute, Ed and Lorraine Warren. So as I said, they lived a few towns over from me. And I'm going to make a whole different video just on the Warrens, because I got some stories about this. Every October, they would hold, I guess like a show in the high school in my town. They would hold it in the auditorium there. They would sell tickets for it. It was like a big thing. It was around Halloween. It was spooky. It was fun. And of course, as I said, when I was younger, I believed all this shit. So like, it was actually like pretty frightening to go to this stuff. And I went there 3 times. Twice when I was like young, even preteen. You know, I went with my older sisters, and they would show all their photos, all the images, slideshows up on the screen. You know, Annabelle from the movie Annabelle. Supposedly this was based off of like a Raggedy Ann doll, fucking Raggedy Ann. So it was a massive doll as well. I mean, they would show this image, and this doll was possessed, and it killed a man. You know, so we believed all of this. It was just amazing. As I said, I'm going to do a whole different separate video probably next on the Warrens. There is spoilers ahead, by the way, but I mean, come on. Is there really spoilers? Because, you know, the defense in court was the devil made me kill a man. So, you know, I think you can kind of guess how that went. Regardless of all that, watch it anyway, because it's just a fun watch for October. So basically, there's a family in Connecticut. There's 3 sons and a daughter. They all go to help the older sister move in with her fiance. So as the story goes, the young boy, he's sweeping a room in this house in Newtown, Connecticut. And he all of a sudden he feels evil presence or whatever. He gets knocked down on the bed, and you know, he's just like fucked up after that. Okay, it was the devil. That's what he says. He says he sees a dark figure, blah blah blah, this and that. It says beware. So after this, he's like, whatever his story is, it's the devil. He's coming for me. Okay. So then after that, in the household, mayhem ensues. The young boy acts out a little bit, you know. And, you know, once you watch this, you'll just see that, you know, the family environment is, you know, far from stable. Let's put it that way. I mean, look at these people. Come on. So, of course, the mother knows like a tarot card reader who lives nearby, who's into this stuff. So they go to her and she's like, yeah, I think we need to contact Ed and Lorraine Warren, you know, these ghost hunters, demonologists, if you will. So they come in and they basically fill this kid's head with the idea that, you know, actually this is a very dark entity. This is a demon. Okay. we're dealing with a demon here. And as I said, there's only one brother, the voice of reason, who doubts the whole thing. And he even goes on to say, he says, you know, they told us in front of all the kids, like what would happen, the type of behavior, all that stuff. And that's what this kid started to act out. I believe the father, he might be the other one who was kind of not buying this stuff. He's featured so small in this documentary. He's hardly featured, but there's one point they show a picture of him and he has a hat and the hat says, "Fuck that." So that pretty much, you know, I think he was like always at work. Probably not the best guy. I don't know. All I'm saying is this family's not looking too good, but I don't think the dad bought it, you know, with the hat. Awesome hat, by the way. So he probably just was like not even around. He's like, fuck this shit. But everybody else besides that one brother is totally all in. They're like, yeah, my brother, he was possessed by the devil. And of course, the subject of the film as well, he has to maintain this stance. And, you know, he probably does really believe it, as well as the other siblings. I'm sure they do believe this. So the kid goes out to just, you know, act out horribly, you know, saying all these curse words, everything to his mom.
I'm your mother. David.
If you ask me, let's face it, it's just an excuse to, you know, call your mom a douchebag and all this stuff. That's what it was. There's even one part I remember one of the brothers said, he's like, yeah, I remember when at one point my dad came in the room and like fucking smacked him or something. I'm not condoning violence, okay? But I guess he smacked the kid and he's like, cut the shit out. And suddenly the devil disappeared after that. That's all I'm saying. The devil wasn't there when the dad was around. So anyway, the whole thing continues. The Warrens continue to be involved with this family and, you know, fill them with these thoughts. The kid continues with his vile language and whatever. And to be honest, these recordings, like they're just not that impressive. For me to get really scared as an adult about this, I need to hear some crazy voices. Like have the kid speak Latin. Have him like speak a language he doesn't know. Have him speak in a totally different voice. I didn't hear any of that. It's just a kid acting like a fucking brat, pretty much. Again, I'm not blaming him. Obviously, his family is clearly unstable. And by the way, just on Connecticut for a second, the big perception of Connecticut, for anyone who's never been there, is always, oh, it's filled with yuppie people. Only rich people live there. Couldn't be further from the truth. Of course, that does exist. Most of the state is not like that. So anyone who ever says, oh, you're from Connecticut, you must be really rich. You must be a yuppie. That's when I know that person has never been to the state. I mean, just look at these people. So moving the story forward. So there's Arnie. What a name, by the way. What a fucking name, Arnie. So Arnie is the fiance of the oldest sister. So one day, whatever, some chaotic stuff is happening. The devil's acting up within the child. And Arnie says to the kid, take me instead, devil. You know, like right out of The Exorcist. Which, if this was all true, by the way, totally heroic thing. By the way, The Exorcist is one of my favorite horror movies. I'm a big horror movie guy. And that scene to this day when the priest, you know, says, take me, still gives me chills. But this wasn't that. So supposedly after that, the kid's okay. And the devil went into Arnie. So then a few days later, basically Arnie is drinking with his buddy. He stabs him to death, kills him. He claims he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't remember anything. I mean, you're blackout drunk, let's face it. But of course, he and everyone else, besides the one brother, believes that he was possessed by the devil. He didn't do this. He's innocent. Oh, worth noting, by the way, as it turns out, the guy he killed, his friend, they were in a love triangle with his fiance. So, motive, you know. But no, the stance was maintained that he was possessed. And of course, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they're all behind this. They're totally in on this. So they go to court and, you know, and the lawyer comes up with the devil made me do it defense. And, you know, God bless. I mean, a lawyer is going to be a lawyer. I mean, you got to give a little bit of respect for that, at least for trying for that, I guess. So, spoiler alert, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then they say, okay, shit, well, let's try for self-defense. Let's try for self-defense, even though no one remembers what happened. The guy was stabbed 4 times, died almost instantly. So they're going to go for manslaughter now, right? Instead of murder. Arnie's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So he does end up getting the manslaughter charge, 10 to 20 years. He ends up serving 5 for good behavior. So I guess when he was in prison with the real killers, I guess the devil wasn't coming out then, was he? The devil was on good behavior in prison, apparently. So as it turns out, one of the kids who was the voice of reason, later on in the documentary, he says, well, it turns out my mom was actually drugging the whole family throughout this whole thing and has been doing it for who knows how long. By the way, the mother, to me, if anyone's the devil, it's the mother, because these pictures of her just fucking creep me out. These are the scariest thing to me. The mom's the devil, by the way. But then the mom goes on to Hollywood after that. She tries to capitalize off it. The Warrens, of course, they do what they do, write their book, whatever, they profit off it. I think, like they said, the family made like $4,000. The Warrens profited like $80,000 or something. This is back in the early 80s, by the way, so good amount of money. Ultimately, it's pretty sad because clearly it's just a really dysfunctional family with a kind of wacky mother. But all these kids, except for the one, still believe that it was the devil. And that just goes to prove how powerful the mind can be, you know, and belief and stuff like that. But as I said, when I was a kid, I just believed all this stuff. And it's fun to believe as well. But it did scare the shit out of me. Now, as an adult, you know, I mean, I do not believe any of this in this case here. From watching the documentary, I went into it with an open mind, but just after watching it, everything I've seen, the recordings, like I said, everything, I think it's all bullshit. I think the mother was drugging them all. She was loony. As I said, I was raised with religious parents, went to church. I was an altar boy, actually. But, you know, I'm not religious, but I can't say that I am an atheist either. So, you know, I'm a little bit torn on this. I don't know. But I got to say, to me, this is bullshit. Does the devil, evil does exist, of course. Does the devil exist? You know, I would say no. But I don't know. What the fuck?